Hey guys, this is Patrick Boyd at Denver Christian Schools. I'm the Technology Integration Specialist, and I'm coming to you today with a quick tutorial on a good scheme for setting up your classes when you have multiple classes using active vote, active expression voters. This is not the case for active expressions, where sometimes the fastest thing there is to just let students pick up the device and very quickly name themselves with the keyboard function. The active votes don't have that option, so we really need to kind of find a better way to quickly pre-assign things, because there is a way for students to assign themselves to stuff with a special code unique to them. That's kind of labor intensive, and it doesn't come up quite as big and bold and easy to read on the screen if you're displaying this on a projected overhead screen. And so to save time, we're going to go with a system like this. Now, what Mr. Klisserman's done is he's done a really smart thing here. He has tried to make it easy on his students. Anytime he has a student multiple times, he's tried to assign that same device to them multiple times. You can see here for Abby, she is in Mr. Klisserman's class for math and science. So rather than make her remember two different devices, she only has to remember the one. Whenever she comes in this classroom, she is the A1 voter. And that's important because when we work our way down the list here to McKenna, who is not in both classes, we could have assigned her A5, but then there would have been a gap over here. And that would work too, as long as we skipped. But then what would happen is because of that skip, she would have been A5, Josh would have been B1 here, right? But then we'd have to take her off the list. And when she's off the list, when we use the auto-assign function, you're going to see that in Activinspire, it would skip because anybody who's not there, it doesn't recognize. It just skips over. And so he would have been assigned B1, but he would have actually gotten A5 in the assignment. And I'll show you how that works in a moment here. Activinspire's auto-assignment works purely on alphabetization, and if someone's missing, they're not taking up that space in the alphabetized list, and so that device gets assigned elsewhere. And it can shift the list, and that's what we're trying to avoid here. So by going with this schema here, by only assigning the people in your actual class in order and skipping over the people who aren't in your class, that's the best way to go. But then what do we do if we want to have students keep the same one as often as possible? We're actually going to create a prefix, and I've written that over here, a ZZ number prefix in front of the minority of students' last names who don't follow that situation. So because McKenna and Carson are the minority, the only two students who aren't in both classes, they've been assigned numbers out of the sequence, and in order to make them out of the sequence in the alphabetizing order assignment that's automatic, I need to give them a ZZ prefix on their last names in order for the auto assignment to work correctly. You're going to see how that goes in just a second here. All right, here we are. I am in, excuse me, I'm going to go and close this down now. I'm in Activinspire, and how I got to this was from the voting browser here. Again, you want to go to View and make sure that browsers are being shown. Oh, I'm not in that, excuse me. I'm going to go into View and make sure that browsers are turned on. So here I am in my browsers. You may normally see the slide browser here. You want to get over to the active devices, the voting devices. Make sure you're on active votes, not active expressions. This is only for active votes. Go here to the database assignment and check the database. So here we have 6th grade math, okay? And that's a short list. But if I use that one, when I hit OK, here we are, 6th grade math. If I hit auto assignment now and I assign devices, because I have named the devices A1, A2, A3, a lot of the times they get auto assigned like GU1 and GU2. It's still fine if it says GU1 and it matches A1 in this case, but we've kind of specially labeled things to make them a little bit easier and color-coded for students. But if you just have 1, 2, 3, 4 on there, just make sure that when you send a student to number 1, that the device that gets assigned to it is number 1. And I knew when I created the database that I wanted Abby to be number 1. And I wanted to make sure that device number 1 got assigned to her. So this is a bit of a double check. You should see the same thing all the way across. If you've got one, if yours are pink 1 or pink, I don't know what, make sure that it's the same. Make sure that you've named them the same. So this works for here, but what happens now if I just use the list in regular old alphabetizing order and I go to 6th grade science and I do an auto assignment now? Now you'll see, even though I want Christopher to be D2, he's been given B2. Even though I want Miss Benowitz to get D3, she has been assigned A5 because they come in that order alphabetically by last name. They have been assigned alphabetically, the first come, first serve from the number values that are the named the numbers in the voters. So how do I get around that? I need to go back into my database. So I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to go to my database. This time I'm going to edit it. In that database, I'm going to go to the whole list, all 6th graders there. Okay, there's McKenna, and I'm going to click on her and I'm going to edit her. She's going to get a prefix ZZ2 and submit that. Oh, excuse me, she's going to get ZZ3. I need to fix that there. She's supposed to be D3, so I want to give her a ZZ3 and submit. I'm going to go to Carson's. I'm going to change his last name with a prefix of ZZ2. I want him to have D2. Submit. And you'll see that that updates in all of the lists over here. That's the nature of a database being connected that way. So if I hit OK, that's fine. But real quickly, I want to make sure that I'm backing this up. I'm going to export it. And I'm going to save that as my all 6th grade database. Save. Replace. That way if I need to re-import this or email it to a friend, colleague, whatever there, we've got that. So now I can hit OK. And you'll see now when I go to 6th grade math and do an auto assignment, I have it matched all the way down. If I switch to 6th grade science and do an auto assignment, we have the correct order now, because even though Christofferson and Benowitz should come earlier in the alphabetical order name-wise, because they were the minority of folk who are only in one class, they're kind of a special case, and so to make them that special case and assign things later in order to keep all of these students using the same device each class, I gave them that ZZ prefix, and now they get the correctly assigned device. And you can tweak that how you want in order to make sure that that happens, but there you have it. Every time now when you do auto assign, because we've got students in alphabetical order, and that auto assignment is based off of numerical or alphabetical order of the naming of the devices themselves, which just so happened in this case to match. Yours may not, but I encourage you to do so. This will work every time. It'll save a lot of time. It saves a lot of time over using assigned devices by pin, because you have to do that every time you start, and that starts to become tedious. This way with auto assign, even though you have to do it every time you start, it's much quicker because it's a single click from the teacher administrator of the lesson, rather than having to rely on each student's entering in a code each time they want to use the devices. That's just slow. So there we have it. I'm going to go ahead and hit finish. That list is active. I could have a science question, I could write over here true or false. There are 2 hydrogens and an oxygen in what we commonly refer to as water. I would go to my voting here. I'd create a 2 option. A is true, B is false. There you go. And now when I click my voters, you'll see I expect A1 to be Abby. She's going to pick true. That is the correct scientific term for water. And you'll see there is Abby's right there. And to confirm and be correct, I want to make sure that because Carson should be D2, I'm going to pick D2 out of the lineup here. and maybe he's having a bad day and he thinks no, water is not what we call H2O, and he picks B, false, right there. And if I stop this, yes, there may be people that we're not going to allow to take this right now. That's fine. And depending on whether you have your results set up here and your settings, you'll see half the people, because we only took 2 people, pick the correct answer of true A, and half the people pick the incorrect answer of B, false. So there you have it. I know that takes some time to explain and understand, but if you want to make it easier on your students so they only have to remember one device no matter what class they have with you, that's the system to use.